it's really important for all types to, while you're waiting, go do something that's enjoyable.
Yes.
While you're waiting to be recognized, go garden if you like gardening, go knit, go do something fun, go to a movie, like go have a conversation with someone. Like we're so, and I know I've been guilty of this, of like hyper focused on the business.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to make this happen? How am I supposed to, and it's like, no, like go do something else, because that's when you're gonna be inspired.
Yeah.
For the thing that in the business. You have to get out. You can't be in the same space of the problem and solution. I am a human design expert. I have been living this experiment for the last 4 years. I've lived the most magical life since I've learned this modality, and I became so obsessed that I was like, I have to help other people with that.
Hey, I'm Taylor Davis. Welcome to Wildly Satisfied. I hope you enjoy the show. Okay, we're here for the final part of this series at least, but there may be many more because, as you guys have heard, we have a problem. It's not really a problem, but we can talk forever, and I think this is why we became friends.
Yeah.
Because we were just like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? And so there's so many pieces. I like to honor the fact that these episodes are smaller. That does not mean that we will not have many more. So I really want to encourage you guys to go into the section below that has the link, fill out the questions. We will respond. I'll bring her back for another series if that's what you'd like, whatever it is, because this is just, there's so much deeper that we can go into with this. And, we're talking about feminine energy right now. That doesn't mean that in my, CEO season, which is maybe coming up in a couple months, we might go into, I don't know, different, definitely different strategy and authority stuff, but even the centers and how that works.
Oh, yeah.
There could be so much for this. But, okay, so today, for this episode, we're going to talk about your strategy.
Yeah.
And how that actually leads to more receptivity in the feminine. So let's do the same thing we've been doing around the different types. I'm gonna have you just dive right in.
Okay. So I always say, so in the first episode, I talked about how our body is the all-intelligent vehicle and it knows where it's going. It's like a self-driving Tesla. And so we've already learned about your authority, which is how you become confident when you're making decisions. Your theme for life is how you know when you're in an alignment, out of alignment. And then your strategy, I like to say, it's how you put your body into cruise control.
Ooh.
And every type has to wait. And so the manifestor has to wait for inspiration. And so they get this divine download, this divine inspiration, this suddenly, and manifestors work in sprints. So at one point we were talking about the different types and being in the feminine. And I think the manifestor is very masculine energy. And when manifestors are honoring the resting point, it's like you sprint and then you rest. But a lot of us are not honoring the rest regardless of your human design.
Yeah. And
so we have to honor the waiting time. And so with manifestor, it's you get the divine download, and so you're waiting for really your strategy is to inform. So you're waiting for the divine download, and then when you get that download, this is probably the hardest one for the manifestors because it feels out of alignment. It feels like it's slowing them down, because as soon as they get that inspiration, they have the energy to go start it.
It's that initiation.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're starters. And so if whatever you're about to do is going to impact someone else, just tell them.
It's the same thing like a team. I would love to say this really quickly, just because I watched a manifestor, beautiful manifestor, great mission and movement. Her team, she had a projector on her team, and projectors, we'll get into ours, we just need to be informed of what's going on, because otherwise we're we can't help. We don't need to guide you as a manifestor necessarily, but I need to know what's happening, because then I feel left behind.
Yeah.
So you don't need to come to me because I need to guide your energy and tell you what to do.
Yes.
I just need to know so I can be okay, I know what's going on, and I can guide everybody else's to get you what you need.
Ooh, I love that you say that.
Yeah, because as a manifestor, you don't have to slow down. You just have to pause for 1 second. Guys, we're doing this. Here are my thoughts, and then go.
Yep.
And that's really, it's honoring the people on your team.
Yes.
And in your life.
Yes.
That what's going to happen. And they'll all get on board to help make it happen.
Yes.
Which is where all the types come together.
100%.
Yeah.
And I feel like if whatever you're inspired to do is not going to impact anyone, you don't have to inform.
Yeah.
And it's not asking permission.
Yeah.
it's really it's waiting to inform and initiate. So it's inform first and then initiate whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
And I like to say it's parting the Red Sea. It's getting people the hell out of your way so you can go do whatever you're about to do. And I have a story for this because my sister's a manifestor. My mom's a projector. We were all at the grocery store one day, and my sister I watched her just go off into an aisle. And my mom's like, "Where's Kelsey? Where is she?" And she's freaking out. And my sister comes back. She's like, "I'm right here." And had she said, "I'm going over here," it's like you said, like as you're moving, inform so that they're not banging on the door. What are you doing? And they're not stopping your flow.
Or they're not freaking out.
Exactly.
Because they're like, wait, what just happened? Where did my sister go? And then she comes back an hour later. She's like, I was fine.
Yeah.
It's all good. I mean, it was an hour, but you get my drift. Yeah.
Well, there's a story about a manifestor kid. And so the only strategy that changes is manifestor kids need to be taught to ask permission, because a story of like a manifestor kid just walked out the door and went to the park and no one know where this kid was.
Oh.
And so like, because this kid just wanted to go play at the park and it went.
Yeah.
And so as a child, you should have been taught, ask permission. And if whatever you want to do is safe, let them do it.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, is most manifestors have probably been controlled. And so like, I don't want to ask for permission. I don't want to tell what I'm doing, but it's going to benefit you in the long run.
Yeah.
Like, and your strategy is wait to inform and initiate. Download, inform, go. Not asking for permission, you're telling.
Yeah, especially as an adult, the power dynamic is different.
Exactly.
But it's also like that energy that you just said of like, I don't want to. That is a very childlike energy. So when you were younger as a manifestor, you were probably told and like controlled.
Yeah.
And you were actually conditioned to ask for permission because of the power dynamic difference. But that doesn't mean that like, you're an adult now.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask for permission.
Yeah.
But you also can't be like, I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing, because that's your child coming back in. You need to alchemize that and like integrate it.
Yeah.
And be like, I don't need to ask permission. I'm going to inform you because it's a form of respect. It's a form of love. It's also because manifestors don't have as much energy as generators and mani-gens. It is going to benefit you because a generator will get on board or a mani-gen will get on board and be like, oh, okay, let me help you bring this to life.
Yeah.
You don't need to be doing it all yourself either. Like, please.
Oh, yeah. Well, and your starters, not necessarily finishers.
Yes.
And so that's the thing with manifestor energy. It's cyclical and it's sprinting. You get the download, you start it, but then especially in business, like you need a team as a manifestor.
Absolutely.
You cannot, you're queen energy.
Yeah.
Queens get the idea, they tell the subjects, they activate it.
Yeah.
Like they put it into play.
And we could do a whole series, I swear, on how these work together, because I've been called the queen maker as a projector, because I'm that person that's like next to the queen that's like, okay, here's the way that the people that you're giving all this information to can work better. And then she's like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Amazing. Done. And it feels so good. And also you are like, as a manifestor, you're meant to initiate big things in the world. You cannot do that alone.
Yeah. And you can't play small either. There's a lot of manifestors that are hiding their power and playing small.
Yeah. No more. We're not doing that.
Stop
Especially as feminine. We got big shit to do in this world.
Yes.
So time to go through that lens. Okay, so let's go to projector. Okay. So I might do a whole follow-up on this because I really want the other types to have this time. But for projectors, for me, it's to wait for the invitation. And like she said, everybody is to wait, but we all wait in different ways. Wait for the invitation. You so beautifully laid this out for me one time, and I've never forgotten it. It actually has two parts. It's wait to be recognized, and then wait to be asked for advice. And as a projector, I didn't understand that. So what would happen for me to be able to naturally receive? So I, as a feminine, as a projector, I get really giddy in my projectorness. Like I understand systems. I like get excited about all these topics. I want to have conversations, etc. I had to realize that as a business owner, I don't need to go cold pitch people and cold call them and do all these things and reach out and pursue. No, just no. I realized that I just needed to capture my energy, put it out there, and then people seeing it and feeling my penetrative aura will go, oh, I want to be around her.
Yep.
So that is not an invitation. They are just like, I want to be around her. Amazing. But then when you're around me, the person will go, oh my God, you're so brilliant. Amazing. That's the recognition out of the two parts. That does not mean I go forward and go, oh my God, yeah, so let me tell you all these things. Okay. That's where projectors get into trouble.
Yeah.
Is someone recognizing you, and please just soak up, receive the recognition. That is the invitation I have for projectors, is we see everybody else so well. They are meant to see us well. And when they can see us, be around people who can see you really well. I did not always have that.
Yeah.
And so being around people who did see me, they're like, you realize that you're brilliant and you're kind and you're wonderful and everything. I was like, oh, I am. I mean, I knew that, but I am. Okay.
Yeah.
And the more you receive that, the more they recognize you, and it feels good based on your authority, right? Like follow whatever that is, because we can be recognized for things that we should not be doing.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Not all invitations or recognizations are for you.
No, absolutely not. And so just obviously like feel the recognition. I always say, if I could just get paid in recognition, if that actually could run my life, I would never take money. I'm like and it's not self-serving. So everybody just like calm down. This isn't like it's not like you're self-centered or anything. So anyway, so there's the recognition aspect of it. As a projector, you need to be recognized, but you also need to still lean back in that moment. Now, if someone goes, oh my God, Taylor, you're brilliant. What do you think about this? That is where they ask for advice. So like, I would love to pick your brain on this topic. Your response is, oh my God, I would love that. Here's how you can book a session with me.
Yeah.
Because we give a lot as projectors and we love, sometimes we need to pull back even if we get the invitation and honor our energy. And to be able to do that, we need to be able to guide the person to the best place to be able to get that from us.
Totally.
And so wait for the invitation, because if you do not wait for the invitation, I have felt this in my body. Actually, the second I just said that, my body seized up a little bit because I remember this. Like, I remember I was really angry when I was younger, and I would look at like family members or something, and their lives were a wreck. And or they just weren't doing what was best for them.
Yeah.
Because as projectors, we can see.
You see it all.
We see it all. We see how everything connects. We know why they are the way they are. We understand them so well, more than they understand themselves, and we know where they're going. There's a psychicness to projectors, at least in mine. But yeah, it's just, so all that to say, I could see something happening with a family member, and I would be like, well, you need to do this. And I could physically feel my body lean forward. I'd be like, okay, well, this is how you get out of this. If you actually want to feel satisfied, you would do this, 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 and this. And you start initiating, and that's not what we're meant to do. And so the practicality is, if they don't ask, you don't need to tell them.
Well, I have a counter to that. I feel like there's a lot of projectors who are like, I have to sit here and wait for the invitation. I can't say anything.
Yeah, that's different.
And I had a projector one time where we were working together, and I was slowly getting frustrated. And then when I said, I can't do this work anymore, it's not satisfying to me, she's like, oh yeah, I saw this coming a mile away. And I was like, why didn't you tell me? You saw it. Yeah. So what I say is, you don't have to wait for the invitation, but you do need to ask first. Like, hey, Taylor, I have some insight. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
Because most of the people you're talking to are going to be generator types, and they're responders, which we'll talk about next.
Yeah.
And so you don't just have to sit there waiting.
No.
Because they may not, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know to ask.
I will say this, in relation to the seizing in the body, I was more meaning people where you can feel them pushing back.
Oh, yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I would be like, oh my God, you need to do these things when you don't have the invitation. Because
exactly.
There's also an energetic aspect to the invitation, which is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
You can feel the person pushing, and it's like, you don't need to tell them.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell them anything. You don't need to offer. You can always say, well, hey, I mean, I have ways if we want to talk about this. You just let me know when you're ready.
Yeah.
Like it kind of leaves it open.
Well, plus if you're like, so I tell this story a lot. My mom's a projector, and she my whole life I'm telling her my problems, and she's like, yeah, Lindsay, you could do this, this, and this. I'm like, ugh, get out of here.
Yeah.
And then when I told her the hack, and she started saying, Lindsay, I have some insight. Do you want to hear it? I'm like, yes, Mom, please tell me. And so there's a really big difference between asking and just telling.
Yes. Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. Like, it's the nuance again.
Yeah, totally.
Because even when you and I have talked about this, like I practice that with my clients.
Yeah.
I can see so much for them.
Totally.
To the point where I had bitterness because I was like, I can see where this is going. Your business is going to burn down. And I'm like, okay. Then I would just kind of have to wait. And I didn't understand my full strategy. Like, I didn't get it. And then I started practicing, because I've had so many conversations. I started practicing the wait to be recognized, and then the full, like, ask for advice, and then going, okay, well, I have a perspective on this.
Yeah.
Are you open to that? If not, absolutely okay.
Totally.
You can always come back to me for it. So I started also honoring my intelligence as like a projector and my ability to see what's going on.
Yeah.
So I took my strategy and then I recognized myself.
Yes.
And was like, okay, I need to honor this side of me, because otherwise I'll feel bitter because I can't share what I want to share. But it's just honoring the dynamic between the two people.
Yeah.
So, and then also let's go into generators and mani-gens, because you need something to respond to, which is where our ask comes in.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So I think a lot of people this is misconstrued, and when I first learned this, our strategy is wait to respond to the universe. And I was like, that sounds like I'm just sitting on the couch twiddling my thumbs, waiting around.
There's a lot of that. Like, it's not very empowering, a lot of the stuff around this. It's like, oh no, you gotta just wait. You just need to sit there. It's like, no, that's not really.
It's not, because your body is literally responding in every single moment. And so it goes back pretty much every single episode we've done. It's always going back to the sacral authority. So you're responding to what turns you on. Yep. Is really what it is. And sometimes I'll just stand in the middle of my living room and I'll just wait until my body starts moving me. And it's really like, like my body will make a decision to go somewhere and my brain's screaming no, and then I get to a networking event and they're like, oh, how did you come here? And I was like, I don't know, my body brought me here. And so it's really being body led of what are you tasting, smelling, touching, feeling, hearing. You get on Instagram and then you scroll and then you respond to something and then you create content and then you pull up the email and then this. It's like we're always responding.
And you're responding, because I want to say this, people don't understand this. You're responding to something externally.
Yes.
This is a nuance. It's not like, oh, I got a download, I internally want to do this, and then you go and search for a response.
Oh my God, I love that you brought that up. So the way that I explain it is, let's say you wanted to open a bakery. As a generator or mani-gen, you cannot just go open a bakery. You cannot push, force, or make anything happen.
Yeah.
So you bring your cookies to a party and everyone's like, oh my God, your cookies are amazing. You should start a bakery. Signs and synchronicities are really big for generator type. So that's a sign. And then you feel that, remember the sacral authority, which every generator has that sacral, like, energy graph or whatever. And so then you're driving down the street, you see a bakery for sale, and it's like, ooh. And then a month later, you're driving down the street, you see a bakery for sale, your body literally whips into the parking lot, and if you're a sacral authority, you walk in, the realtor's there, you've signed the paperwork, next thing you know, you have a freaking bakery.
Well, I love this because it just showed exactly like, oh, your body turned. We all know when you're like, oh my God, I got to turn there, and you don't know why.
Yep.
But also what we talked about in a previous episode, where you were like, when you're making decisions, it can be 40%, and then it can be 50, and then 60. It's
the energy is building.
It builds, and that's when it's a full fuck yes. That because of the response from the outside world. Yes. That is when you do it. That's when you follow it through. Otherwise, if you start it too early, it's like, well, the cake wasn't baked yet, and you pulled it out.
Oh my God. And can I tell you, I think that mani-gens struggle with this the most.
Yes, because of
we're so
energy.
fast.
You're so fast.
And it's really like, how are you marinating with this? How are you letting it flow into your body? And the example with you and I the other day of like, you were talking about a membership, I was talking about the frustration in my business, your beautiful projectorness saw how to harness my energy, like, what about a membership? And my whole body was just like,
you lifted up out of the chair. I remember you were like sitting on that bench, you were like, okay, yeah, I'm turned on, let's go. So what else do you have? Like,
it was feeling orgasmic in my body, and I wanted to take action right then, but I was also in fall in my own cycle, and then I got into winter, so I'm contemplating and I'm thinking about it and I'm working it through and I'm writing all the notes.
Yeah.
And then my body just like implemented it all.
And when you implemented it, it's successful.
Oh my God, yeah, it's successful. I had 6 people join within 24 hours and I barely even promoted it. And so that's when you know you're in alignment, but every type has to wait.
Yes.
So we're not responding to our brain. I love that you brought that up. You're responding to your external environment. And I always say, like, all of these ideas are whirling around up above me.
Yeah.
And when it's ready, it drops into my body and it's like
then you
I
move.
can't even prevent myself from doing it.
There's a coach out there that says body leads, mind follows.
Ooh, so true. It's so true. In certain moments, when it's a big thing, I'll be working for 2 weeks straight and I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck I just did, but I implemented it all because my body is just going.
So I love this because I feel like when you're really in your strategy and you're following it and you're letting the universe guide you, you're letting creativity guide you. And here's something too, if you want to be active in pushing your life forward and going, you need to put yourself in different environments that allow for response, especially for mani-gens and generators.
Yep.
Because I have watched mani-gens go, oh, I got this idea for this program. They put it all together. No one responds to it.
I've done that many times.
So disappointing. And I'm like, I know you want to follow that. I love that energy. Great. Go talk to some people.
Yeah. Signs and synchronicities.
Yeah. Go ask for the universe. I would love a sign if this is what's meant to happen.
Yeah.
Like I literally just had a conversation with my roommate that was like, she has powerful manifesting powers and she's also a manifesting generator where she's like, I want to have more of these types of events and experiences. And then literally started doing something, the universe responded, and then she's able to respond. Like it's just so powerful. I love this.
Well, and I will say this to before we go on to Reflector, but it's really important for all types to, while you're waiting, go do something that's enjoyable.
Yes.
While you're waiting to be recognized, go garden if you like gardening. Go knit. Go do something fun. Go to a movie. Like, go have a conversation with someone. Like, I know I've been guilty of this, of like hyper focused on the business.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to make this happen? And it's like, no, like, go do something else, because that's when you're going to be inspired.
Yeah.
For the thing that in the business, you have to get out. You can't be in the same space of the problem and solution.
I love this. I'm going to tie in something for this. It's the difference between masculine and feminine. And I say this all the time, and I know you love this. I'm going to put it in here because it's perfect. When you're building businesses or your lifestyle based on the masculine, it's all about safety and security and doing and everything. And that's from a masculine perspective. When you build your life and business in the feminine perspective, it's a freedom-based turn on perspective, and you build from that. The feminine sets the standard, the masculine leads from it. And so you don't need to be in safety and security, constantly trying to figure things out. That is masculine energy. You're not going to build a profitable business that is sustainable for your energy or your lifestyle, because you're a naturally feminine cored individual.
Yeah.
You honor your masculine inside of you, but you are not full fucking fledged masculine. And we need to start being able to realize that when we set up systems and we set up lifestyles that are based in the feminine lens, and we build from freedom and pleasure and turn on, that is going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
And it's going to be something that our masculine does honor, and then our masculine can move the way it's meant to, and then things fall into place. We feel successful and satisfied, at peace, surprised and delighted, like all these things. So I just wanted to say that before we go into the reflector, because it's so... It's
so important. And like, when things are in alignment, when you are living by design, it's magical. Like, it's so magical, even on the tough days, even on the hard days. Like, you have this sense of confidence. You have this sense of knowing that everything is working out for you, even if your brain can't figure it out. And it's just allowing the body to lead and guide you on the most epic adventure of your whole entire freaking life.
I love that.
Yeah. So Reflector is really, your strategy is to wait 28 days. And what that means is that, like, with decisions, big major decisions, you need 28 days to like feel into that decision. Just like emotional authorities can't make decisions like that, reflectors can't either. And so it's really like gaining insight, talking to an advisor, like talking to a mentor, talking to your friends, feeling into it, and really honoring the 28-day cycle is key. But it's really about like every reflector has a unique 28-day cycle
Based on transits and things like that.
based on the moon gates.
Moon gates.
So every 8 or so hours, the moon gate shifts. So with what I do, I call it the reflector experiment, is just like paying attention to the transits and mapping out. Like it's the same 28-day cycle for the moon every single time. But it's very nuanced. So most of the time when I'm talking about reflectors, I'm just DM me, because it's so hard. It's hard to explain. And also, reflectors are so rare. They're only 1% to 2% of the population, but there's not a lot of information out there, which is really about honoring your cycle, like your personal cycle, the astrology cycle, the moon cycle, the seasons, like really slowing down.
I want to say this because reflectors are the newest type. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we're in the age of the feminine, which is also cyclical. By the way, reflectors are not just women or not just feminine. There are men reflectors. Let me just put that out there. But like projectors came into being in the late 1700s around industrialization, because suddenly all these things were being created and the universe was like, we're not using this properly. Let's put in a new type that is actually meant to guide and direct energy. So we're putting our resources in the right place, because we're all evolving. It's for the creation of life. It's for the creation of the next level. It's for that. It's no coincidence, and I don't believe in coincidences, that reflectors came into being so recently, and there's such a small part of the population, it will probably grow. And of course there'll be another type in the next 100 years or something, who knows. But reflectors came into being in a time when the feminine was coming back into power, when cyclical and seasonal living is coming back into power, because and I'm getting chills as I'm saying this, it's literally like through my body, because we know how the linear thinking has been. We know how the people that when we're actually operating in too much of the masculine or bro-y, which is so out of alignment side of things, we know how that affects our nervous systems. We know how it affects our business. It's not sustainable, especially for most of the population. And there are more women in the world than there are men. And we are seasonal beings. We cannot go against nature. And yet we are. We just need to use it to our advantage. And I don't think it's a coincidence that cyclical beings by nature are coming into play.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Not at all. So,
and reflectors are so magical. The first time I met a reflector in real life, I could feel her they have sampling energy. So they're just sampling us. And it was so cool. I was like, what's your human design? And she's like, I'm a reflector. And I was like, I knew it. And I met a baby reflector and I could feel her testing out the energy. And then she got she was kind of to me, because she didn't know my energy. And so she was feeling it, and then she got more used to it. So yeah, I love that. I love that concept.
I love that. I feel so she says all the time, and we'll end with this, that your strategy and authority are the two main things that you need to focus on, especially as children, because we're not conditioned. So if you have kids, focus on their strategy and authority, play with that, and just see how they interact with the world. Because the reason why we're in self and not self themes and things like that is because we've been conditioned out of our natural strategy and authority. So just want to drop that nugget there. And when you stay in your natural feminine energy, when you are able to use all these things, you're naturally receptive, you're receiving the things you want in life, and you're able to use your human design as a beautiful tool.
Magic.
To be able to do that. Just so magic. So, oh my God, this was amazing. I feel like we could go on forever. Well, we're going to end it here. And I feel like if anybody has questions, you guys know where to go. There's a link below. You can fill out the form. We can do a whole other series if you want to hear about anything. I'm sure Lindsay will come back. She's like, yes. Her sacral's like, yes,
My
please.
sacral's always a hell yes for anything you want to do.
Aw, I feel so loved. I feel so recognized as a projector. We might do even just a bonus Q&A session, so make sure to drop that in there. And Lindsay, can you tell people where to find you?
Yeah, I hang out on Instagram the most. I'm at Lindsey Means with an _. And I love, I always tell people, DM me a copy of your chart. I'll give you some insight. And I mainly use human design as a tool for healing and empowerment and growth and embodiment. And so, yeah, would love to connect with you.
Yeah. I feel like business-wise, I'm more of the business side of that, but you're
Totally.
you're like relationships and like magic. Also, she is like a magical freak in the best way. I love it. So if that's your vibe,
I have 3 buckets in my business. I have teaching people how to become the passenger in their body with human design, creating alchemy in your life with ceremony and ritual, and then cultivating sacred union within by harmonizing masculine and feminine energies. And so that's why this conversation, I was like, hell freaking yes.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much for listening to this Wildly Satisfied production. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we would love it if you would share it with someone that you love, leave a review, or come tag us on social media at Wildly Satisfied.